So what are the preparations required for an interview? Preparations for the interviewer: arrangement of place, time and questions. Where will the interview be? When will the interview be conducted? And what are the questions he wants to ask? So he will do a rough sketch of the questions. Acquiring job related information and general knowledge. Whoever is going to take the interview should have an idea of this. Going through the resumes, because he needs to know what candidate he is going to meet, what is his profile. Assessing the interviewee's attitudes. So while taking the interview, he needs to assess that. Preparing opening remarks. Recording the proceedings of the interview. These are the things an interviewer has to do. What are the time-honored conventions for conducting interviews? In an interview, the interviewer is in charge and he always has an upper hand. In the first place, the interviewer has to plan the event, which is what we looked at. The interviewer should make every effort to put the interviewee at ease if he wants to really find out or get the candidate to be at his best. Ask the right questions. If the questions are not right, then the gauge or understanding of the candidate will not be correct. Let the candidates, the interviewer, do most of the talking. They have to be good listeners. They need to ask such questions which will make the candidate talk. The interviewer should follow the plan that has been chalked out before the interview, because sometimes things go haywire. It sometimes get led on to another side. So it's better the plan is well written beforehand, so that the plan is followed. So the interview comes to a logical conclusion, which is whether the candidate is fit or not fit. Emphasize the importance of listening. The interviewer must give his entire attention to the interviewee. He should not be answering calls or focusing on other things when the interview is on. The interviewer must respect the feelings of the interviewee, even if the latter appears to be wrong. The interviewer must also keep a record of the information gathered, so he needs to note down. Normally during an interview, a sheet is prepared where the questions are noted and the answers are captured, so that it's not forgotten, and plus it can be used later to analyze the candidate. The interviewer should also stick to the time allocated, which is why the preparation of the question was very important. If the questions were well prepared beforehand and it was followed, then normally you will not miss what you want to understand as far as the candidate is concerned, and normally the interview will come to a logical end at the right time. How will the candidate prepare for the interview? Physical preparation. Good formal dress up. From an Indian context, it could be lady, either with a sari or a formal Indian dress like a salwar, or a western suit if it is a western kind of, which is allowed today in many of the companies. Good posture. How the person sits is very important. Good manners. Saying thank you, saying sorry whenever required. Mental preparation. This is very, very important. There are many who may just come for the first interview. They wouldn't know how to handle. Hence, mental preparations help a lot. Mentally, the candidate needs to revise the subject knowledge. If the person is applying for a programming job and the person knows Java, supposed to be for Java, then the person should know Java well. Get information about the current affairs and important issues. What is happening in the IT industry? Hence, what can one expect? Information about the company, its products, competitors, etc. So if it's an IT company, are they the best in the country, in the world? Who are their competitors? What is the kind of application they are developing? What is the space? Which vertical are they in? So on and so forth. Could be the knowledge that he may want to gain before he goes for the interview. Prepare general and personal questions. Ask the interviewee themselves, can ask themselves questions, because as you ask more and more questions, you become prepared with all those answers, and invariably some of those questions will be asked in the interview. Psychological preparation. Practicing honesty. As far as possible, give an honest, direct answer. Practicing negotiating skills. This may be required if you want to negotiate your salary or you want to negotiate your time that you want to work and so on, but it has to be done very tactfully. Inculcating willpower and determination so that you're not nervous and you're able to answer correctly, honestly, directly. Self-assessment. The candidate needs to evaluate his strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats, mostly strengths and weaknesses at this point of time, okay, and makes a judgment. So that if something is not his strength and the job demands so, then it's better to say that that is not his strength, or he may need to work upon that strength, which is currently a weakness or an area of improvement. Guidelines for the interviewee. Be prepared for the interview. So what we discussed a few minutes earlier are things that the person needs to do before he comes for the interview. Have presentable appearance, we spoke about that. Neat is very important. Well dressed, formal, neat. Show interest by making effective use of body language. We've already seen how body language plays a crucial role when we are talking to convey what we want to convey, and hence effective use of that will always help. All the questions must be correctly and completely answered. That shows confidence, that shows the person's interest in the subject and also the keenness to join the organization. Be polite, obviously, because here you are offering your services to the company and you need to be polite for the company to respect you. Further guidelines for the interviewee: avoid talking too much or making boastful statements. One may have achieved a lot, but one needs to be humble about it and not boast too much about it. It can put the other person off. Avoid criticism of the previous employer or anybody else. One has seen in many occasions people talking ill about the school they come from, the college they come from, or the previous employer. It is seen in bad light, so please avoid that. It's not required at all. Do not forget to thank the interviewers for having spared time for you. It's basic courtesy and decency to thank the person for giving their time to interview me or you. Do not hesitate to ask any questions, to seek clarification regarding the company's profile, service, conditions, any questions that one may have. Better to ask in the interview at the end, because we're given a chance, and this can be prepared before, saying that these are the things I may want to ask, and those questions can be asked. There's nothing wrong about it. Checklist for interview preparation. Know yourself. Better to know your strengths and weaknesses, because different jobs need different strengths, and hence your strengths should fit the requirements of the job the company has. Know your resume. Since you are writing the resume, you should be able to talk about what you have written there, and that's very critical. Know the company. The company you are applying to, we must do homework and get to know about the company a little before we walk in. Know the position. What is the post I'm applying for? Hence, what does it do? So understanding of the post is critical. It shouldn't be a surprise once we join that that's not what the post we were looking for. Hence, it is good to understand what the post is all about. Know some questions and answers. Anticipate. There are enough sites which give you probable questions and answers. One can also sit and look at what could be the questions, answers that may probably be asked, or ask people, seniors or other mentors, saying what are the questions that are likely to be asked. Know that your non-verbal appearance communicates loudly, no doubts about that. Especially in an interview, the interviewer has all the time to look at you closely, and hence any non-verbal cue will be recorded immediately. Hence, one needs to be careful about using non-verbal communication while in an interview. Know that your oral delivery also communicates, obviously. Know the meeting place, time and other details. One should be very clear about the place, time, venue, and hence if it's a company that one is going to and it's a place one is not familiar with, it's better to have gone there earlier and checked out how to reach the place so that you're on time. Know some basic salary ranges. One should be aware what are the industry packages so that it can help you negotiate when the offer is made. Know that you must rehearse. Interview is also an communication art, it's an oral communication art. It takes time to learn to give the best answers, hence rehearsals always help.